Yo, everybody. Finally ready. Sorry about the wait. Talkin Pit. There we go. It's working. All right. It's up. It's a little messy,
nice.
but
Hey!
nice. Well, I'm still working on a couple of things, so if you want to talk about, I'm going to be doing Dave the Diver. So you can talk about your game choice for a minute while I set up the last thing, since it's going to work. Apparently, I'm going to go finish my setup.
Yeah. Shall we go in the most reasonable geometric order? And Doc, you want to go after Smight?
I guess.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I guess that means I would go after that.
You would go last because the way Smight has it laid out. I'm thinking like books, like left to right, top to bottom. It's fine. Doc, what game
You ever read one of those?
Yeah, have you ever heard about books? Check them out. Oh wow, me seeing myself on delay is gonna kill me. I need to close that window.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's murderous. I'm gonna have to have it open later.
God, I'm so handsome.
Footage,
it's so fucking distracting.
I looked in the mirror and the most beautiful thing I saw.
Luckily, I don't have that problem.
I'm rocking a mustache these days. How does that feel?
So, what game are you gonna talk about today, Doc?
I'm talking about Wulong Fallen Dynasty, a game that I played to completion relatively recently. Well, completion insofar as the first playthrough of a teenager game is a completion.
Yeah. In the same way that completing New Game in Neo 2 is completion when there is, in fact, another 5 games behind it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be talking about DNF Duel, which is a fighting game that came out and kind of floundered around a little bit and like had a bunch of problems at release, was like wicked goofy in a bunch of ways. The balance was all over the place, but in the latest couple big patches, they've made some incredible changes. I think it's a really incredible game now. I think it's fantastic. And I want to talk about why it's such a wild, good time. It's kind of a old school sentiment, like style game of like fighting game where everything's wild as hell in an age where a lot more stuff is like homogenous across casts. So I just think I think it's a fascinating game. I think it's fantastic, and I don't think anything else plays like it. Newbie, what are you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about recently released Nintendo game Fire Emblem Engage, the 17th. That's right, in the Fire Emblem series. Honestly, at this point I've played a lot of those, and I can say without a doubt that I think Engage might be the best that the series has been mechanically. It's just really fun to play. There's a lot of other problems with that game, but that's for another time.
I am almost ready. I'm doing Dave the Diver, which is it's an indie game that I think is neat. It's about fishing and sushi. Fishing and sushi, two things. You basically run a restaurant with the fish that you catch with your harpoon directly, and maliciously. You just dive in the ocean and destroy all the fish, and then you bring it to your restaurant and cook it. And there's some deeper plot going on. I'm not sure about yet. I don't know what's the deal with that. I am good to go. Let's start with TieTuesday's game. I think mine will take a minute, so.
Oh, me first?
Yeah, I've got you up, ready to go.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you would go first because it's your show and you would want to set the pace and rhythm. Or Smight, this is me telling you you're going first. This is me telling you you lead in with your own show, man.
Yeah. I choose Peg. I'm changing games.
Don't come in here and be like, all right, Ty, lead my show. No, man.
All right, 1 second. Let's go here. So I'll this up. Nice sword, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned
thanks.
Nice sword. I'm gonna keep saying that at you. I'll get you some audio in a second.
Some blade.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't played this in a minute, but I'm definitely gonna jump into it again soon. And so your basic day loop in this game, and it's still being developed, so I'm not sure where they're gonna go with this. That's something I was wondering, because I got a ton of upgrades in this game already where you can just dive real deep into the ocean and How the heck do you get audio on these? Anyway, I guess we don't really need
How
it.
the heck do you get audio on your own thing? Probably
on
by
the-
unmuting it.
On the video. Yeah, it is unmuted. I think the audience hears it, but not us. Maybe.
What?
I can see on your video
Smight,
that
I
it's
can
muted
see
right
the
now.
player is
Yeah.
muted on stream.
The player is muted.
Player.
Yeah.
No, that's not that's the different thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
There.
a different muted icon
That's
in
right.
the bottom left.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Okay.
You guys, yeah, they hear it. We don't, so I can fix that.
Okay, word.
I guess that's fine. I mean, so yeah, I'll definitely fix these kind of issues later, because the audio mixing sometimes is a mess. Anyway, I was just diving into the ocean, shooting some fish. That's my demo of Dave the Diver. Your basic loop is really fun, and I was getting into this big time. I'll start my timer so I don't yammer about Dave too long. You start
Please
off
do.
you start off only being able to go like this deep, and you get some good upgrades to let you dive deeper and kill fish better with your harpoon. And the aiming is like you pull the trigger after you direct the shot, and it does some amount of damage, but there is some like delay on it. There's some aggressive fish. Can you believe this? Aggressive fish exist in the ocean, and you might want to come in here with
Sometimes
some...
fish don't
Son of
like
a
to get
bitch, I
eaten.
knew it.
What?
Yeah, I knew it. So how do you aim? Is this like it looks like mouse and keyboard based on the screen. Do you play this twin stick, or is it just full mouse and keyboard control, like mouse to swim around, keyboard click on what you want to shoot at, that kind of stuff?
I usually use the joystick. For this, I just quickly used the keyboard and mouse just to see what it was like, and I wouldn't recommend. I would just use the.
Oh, okay.
I would use the controller.
So controls nice as a like. Is it just like a twin stick
Yeah.
shooter kind of layout? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you aim with the right stick and you swim with the left, and then you pull the trigger to fire. And you have a knife if you want to use that, and you can get some guns. So I'm getting pretty deep in here. We got a little cutscene with a dolphin that I'm not interested in doing here, but
The dolphin like a piece
this
of shit.
asshole. This absolute worst dog shit dolphin I've ever met.
It
Ugh,
wants me
this
to
guy
it
sucks.
wants me to do some shit. I don't know. It's a pretty alright dolphin, I guess, as far as to go. Oxygen is your health. Your guy is Mario, and when he is dead, he just goes back to the surface and is not dead. Actually, he's fine. He's hard to kill. Dave's pretty tough, but you can grab like oxygen tanks
Sorry.
and stuff under the water.
The double thumbs up hit me.
All
Good.
the animations.
Dave does
in
double
this-
thumbs up all the time. I'm well aware of that. I have checked out the checked this out before.
Oh, there are some cutscenes that I made sure I captured in here, and we unfortunately won't hear the audio like the audience will, but like they're so good. They're just like, this is one of these indie games that's like super well polished, and they have time to refine it and stuff. So anytime you make a new weapon or a new type of sushi gets upgraded or anything like that, you get this like 5-second cutscene. There's a couple variations. You can skip them if
I'm
you want.
incredibly concerned for Dave right now, diving 87 meters deep without like waiting at all.
A great
This
barracuda.
dude, if he does
hunt him down.
This dude is like gonna have the hyper bends the moment he rises even the slightest bit.
Oh, he's fine.
So I'm gonna have to assume that like each individual fish has like a rating, but then also like fish of the same type can be better than the others.
You can collect the same fish a bunch and upgrade it. Like the chef learns how to cook it better, and you can give him a couple to play with that he uses to make it worth more in the restaurant. And people like it more. But some fish is just straight better. Obviously, at the top it's pretty lousy fish compared to down here, where you know how it is in the ocean. All the tasty fish are down at the bottom.
Yeah.
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 The nightmare to
Absolutely.
look at ones. So what is like the general loop on your first couple playthroughs of this game? Is it just like hop down, explore a little bit, run out of air, come back up, sell stuff, get some upgrades, or like what is the is it like a SteamWorld dig kind of thing?
Yeah, if your loop is maximize, I'm leaving the. I don't have to run out now, but I'm just exiting. There's just an escape hatch. So the average loop is like collect as much as you can literally carry until Dave can't swim anymore and almost drowns, and then you leave and you take all that home, and that's your maximum. Like that's the best you could possibly do if you really optimize, and then you could dump all that on your chef, and
I
it's
have to
cooking
ask,
time now.
was the loading bar there you denitrogenizing?
Yeah, he was riding a blimp back up and just chilling, reading the paper. So, the day and eventually morning when you unlock it are fishing, and then the night is at this restaurant, which I have already got a bunch of employees for. It's kind of like, it's got a little bit of cook serve delicious to it if you have to actually like pour drinks, which is something I do. I don't have anyone doing that for me in my restaurant, so I'll be running around serving drinks while the chef cooks all the food. He always does that. He's good at it. I let him do it. Here he is. He's very serious about his sushi. You pick up the food from him once it's done, and you give it to whoever wants it as quickly as you can. So you're just like the server during this.
This is a wonderful animation for
holy
sushi.
shit.
I am so glad they have the loving, like taking the little bit of like, you know, whatever it is and just applying it on top lovingly, just a little swipe. Oh, so good.
There's like 10 of those for everything. Like there's like 4 variations of him making his sushi, and there's like 5 more of him like upgrading it or whatever, and then there's one for the other couple of characters as well. Same, like they really went all in on that. Like the presentation of this game is crazy, but the restaurant's pretty fun. It's just dine and dash, serving them the food as it's done. You gotta get the wasabi rolls ready and all that stuff. It's really good. I like this game a lot. The loop being as fun as it was, like I got sucked in and I just wanted to, like, so here we go with the everything I put on the menu.
These motherfuckers serving seahorse? What's wrong with this restaurant?
I serve everything. They serve what I bring, and there's like a whole storyline where the chef is like, he won't waste anything. He's gonna use shark head, and he just puts a big shark head on a plate. It doesn't matter.
This tea pouring mini game
With liquid physics, let's go.
Yeah, you have to get that just right. The beer is really hard. This, if he runs out, he just waits for you and gets mad. You have to keep the chef happy. The beer, they want like 10% foam, so it's just very, very picky.
Oh,
You gotta have a-
pint, just like Fable.
Yeah.
That the head makes it look and taste better. The beer does look nice, but I'll be having iced tea.
So I have a lot of employees making this way easier on me because it's pretty rough at the start when it's just you and your guys. He runs out of stamina. He's not fit for this. I mean, he has to be diving 200 feet, but he's not though. He's really slow in the diner, so it's hard to keep up with the growth of the restaurant if you don't hire some dudes.
Look, Dave's just built for water, not for land.
Or he's like tired from diving down
Yeah,
like
he's still in a lot-
100 meters and then
He is still in a
coming
lot of
back. Yeah, he's still got some nitrogen bubbles in his blood he's working out. Like, that's not farts, dude. He's dying.
Well, that's the restaurant shift with a bunch of employees. It's pretty easy to handle when you have 4 dudes working for you. You're just the manager almost at that point. And we leveled up so we get more customers coming in. You know, the standard restaurant game stuff, it's pretty good, but the diving is definitely the other half of it. They have other things. There's like a farm and some mermaid story or something. I'm working on that. Haven't gotten there yet. I'm interested to see where they're going with this because I was getting upgrades really fast and I didn't know, like, I don't know what the end game of this is going to look like, and I'm interested to see how they can possibly keep it going because I'm so maxed out. And it seems like there's a lot of game left, and they still are in early access. They're still adding content. I'm about to upgrade my gun.
You're gonna go fucking fishing with a sniper rifle and a grenade launcher?
Hey, you got sharks down there, man. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
You gotta blast.
They don't
Why does
need
no one
those.
tell me about this. Yeah, wait. I thought, like, all I ever saw of Dave the Diver was a little guy swimming around, and I was like, oh, it's like Aquaria. That's nice. That's a sweet little game.
He had a
one told me
harpoon.
I was
Now you
gonna
can
get
make yourself a
grenade
lightning
launchers
sniper
and
rifle.
Sushi chef work. Yeah.
My harpoon only does so much work. It only does so much damage, so we're gonna upgrade one of these guns, and we'll just have it when we want to jump down there. And you can find other guns down there, but when you upgrade the gun, this weird man gives you a cutscene. And that's what I end this video on.
I wasn't ready for the anime shirt.
And that's
Made
Dave the
sure that
Diver.
was in every single shot. I wonder how that feels to put something in every single shot while something is going on.
Yeah.
Pretty, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
That guy does good work on your guns, and then you can go down there with like a sleeping sniper rifle, and it puts them to sleep. And that if you kill them, like if you take your knife and actually kill the fish, you get less sushi. So that's not optimal. You want you want to capture them alive, so tranquilizers let you do that. So there's a lot like that. There's a lot of weapons, you know how it is. Who's next? It's Dave the Diver.
All right, I can go next if you want. I can go in because I'll try and be fairly quick about DNF Duel. All right, let me know when I'm up on stream and everything's good to go. All right, sick. Hi everybody. I'm Ty, and I want to tell you about DNF Duel. DNF Duel is a game that came out, and you can go ahead and put the gameplay footage up while muted while I'm talking about this. So DNF Duel is just like, it's a fighting game that came out last year. It was really interesting and it was really exciting and wild, but it had a lot of balance issues. Defense was just really weak across the board. Some characters kind of didn't get to play. It was like a really wild game, which when you understand the pedigree of where it comes from, that makes a ton of sense. Particularly Aiding worked on this game, who also worked on Marvel 3, which you may have heard of. Yes. This game has absolutely out of control fucked up hitboxes for everything. It is a game that so a lot of times when beat 'em up characters come to fighting games, they have to tone everything down, right? Because in beat 'em ups, you're allowed to make these moves totally cuckoo bananas, crazy huge hitboxes, because only a computer has to deal with it, and who gives a shit if a computer feels bad, right? But in fighting games, a lot of times they try to rein stuff in, keep it more even, keep it more level, so that, you know, people don't get quite as outrageously mad at some of the dumb shit. DNF Duel is from a beat 'em up. DFO, Dungeon Fighter Online, was a Korean MMO beat 'em up that was really successful, is still going, has been for a long time. And they didn't pull back. They decided, F it, we ball, and just made everything as ludicrous as possible. So this is a really good example of a hitbox. This is one of Troubleshooter's buttons. The red part is the part that can hit your opponent, and the blue teal part is where you can get hit. This is kind of what you have to expect from buttons from this game. I pulled up a few of my favorite examples. This one's particularly good because this is the grappler. Let me zoom in a little bit on this.
The grab Smight character.
Yeah, as you might expect, the grappler is the guy who tries to get close and touch you. But just to give you an idea, even the character who's supposed to be the guy whose range is muy pequeño still has this jump in the air, asinine, like jump kick that covers everything. Like everyone can cook in this game. Here's one that I personally love a whole lot. It's Swiftmaster, this little jerk who was like the top 0 character in the game, absolutely the best there's ever been. They nerfed him, balanced everything out. He's in a good spot. That being said, look at this dog shit. Look at this nonsense. It's so big. He just like does a big hand blast and goes like, "Can I die?" Just explodes everyone. It's so fun. And this is another good example of a hitbox. This is one of his activations. Yeah. He's in the middle there somewhere. This game is so fun. So like a lot of modern games and sensibilities, this one's really good. This is Crusader summoning a Jesus wall. It just covers everything. It goes all the way up instantly. It'll catch you running. It'll catch you jumping. It'll catch you doing anything. The main thing I want to get across about DNF Duel and why I think it's like such a fun, special game right now is, if you think any of the characters in it look cool or fun to play, you're right. Like, you will love playing them. Everybody in this game is obscene. This is Launcher. This button makes me pee my pants. This is her 5A. It reaches this is her jab. It's the same speed as when the grappler, the guy who grabs you, just kind of goes, ah. And then this lady's just got a gun. But like, it works. It totally works because Grappler has his own tools to get through. He has like multiple hit armor he can use to try and force his way in. He has like different guard cancels and like invincible rolls you can use. So everybody has these outrageously strong tools. So it kind of becomes a game of understanding what your opponent is trying to do and what kind of wild shit they can do, and understanding your character's toolkit and specific answers, and building the answers to every matchup kind of yourself manually. And it's very satisfying when you do it right. Like when you catch something wild that you don't expect, it can feel just outrageously good. Let me pull up There was one example I wanted to get here. Just of an example of a wild interaction that can happen. Let me find it. Sorry, I'd closed the hitbox for it. Storm Strike, there it is. Hello. So, once again, Swiftmaster. Oh, sorry. It doesn't fit on screen. Let me... There it is. Hey, so this is like a zero buster that Swiftmaster gets, where if he charges a button, he can just let it rip, and it's huge and plus a bunch. So the thing is, you think this thing effing Wimdy for sure. I get it. Cool. So you would think this is a projectile, right? You would think this is like a big old fireball or whatever. So if any character with a counter counters this, they will just pull him in and immediately slam him to the ground. It is a physical hit. So it's like these wild little like knowledge check things here and there, and everyone has access to it. Like, this is one of Ranger's buttons. This guy's just Dante, by the way. If you like Dante, if you like Wacky Wahoo Pizza Man, good news. He's just in this game. Yeah, there's all sorts of wild stuff about it. It's really fun. The most recent patch, a couple of big changes they made that I think were super crucial to the experience and really like upped it a whole bunch. First of all, they nerfed some, just a couple of the super duper outlier messed up characters, in really intelligent ways too. Like, those characters are still very good. They just aren't like absolutely better than everyone else. You're going to lose the tournament if you don't pick them good, right? They also made defensive options way stronger. So this is kind of me speaking to the fighting game people already. But yeah, the defensive options are way stronger. They made rolls like frame one. So like before, it was very easy to do stuff to your opponent and hold them down. And if they tried to roll, you just killed them for it. Now roll is actually real, can be used to get out of situations. Guard cancels got made better, all sorts of stuff. So like, I really think they've done an incredible job making this game still wild as hell, but super fun and approachable regardless. Like, it's just like, even if you're not good at fighting games, even if you're not interested in getting good at fighting games, it is so fun to go in there and pick some motherfucker named the Crusader and just hit him with the big Jesus disco ball. Like, it's just outrageous. You just hit him with the chunky Jesus. Now, you might say to me, what do you mean the chunky Jesus? Like, oh God, let me just get an image of this fool up close. He's just Big Jesus. He's just Big Jesus, and he's probably the best character in the game right now too. Is Big Jesus. So bless.
Face is so teeny tiny. He's got such a small face.
His body is so big.
General Jamaican looking ass.
And yeah, on my final note, I wanted to end on a little bit of a goofy thing here. So let me get my audio passing through to you. And so my last point is mods for this game are very easy to install and very funny, in my opinion. I think they're a real good time. I
saw this. This is great. I know what you're pulling.
This mod's so funny, dude. Yeah. So mods for this game are really good. I'm just gonna let this one play and let you figure out what the mod is on your own.
After this battle is over, I can continue.
Thank you for choosing Google Translate, the leading software for bilingual communication. I will assist you to the best of my ability. Now, let's kill this insolent fool and move on to the next.
The cancels are so funny.
Bomb, toe, hit you, hut, big hut, holy shit, breathe, 1 inch.
And this is a great example though. Striker, who's another super close range character, you get to see her game plan as her just canceling shit into canceling shit. And she's like super short range, but she just sits there wailing on you. And so she manages to make up for it, where if she gets in, she's now a problem. So even in a game where characters have these full screen fucking bazookas, you can still make a character that's short range work. It's fun.
How long you been playing this?
Oh, I mean, I played it since release. I dropped it for a good amount of time, but the most recent patch, like I said, huge overhaul. Like, literally every character got major changes. Oh, God, these cancels are so funny. Yeah, like the most recent changes in particular were super huge. Like, they changed every character, they buffed the weak ones. Like, It was great. Everybody I know who played characters that were in the lower tier like came back, looked over the patch notes, and they're like, "Oh shit, they gave me literally every toy I wanted."
Bomb, big plant, ha, Tatsumaki sepik, holy shit, spinning star kick, dash hit, Tatsumaki sepik, up. I am dead now. God damn it. Oh. That hurt. Take this, die. Slide, sure you can. Dying noises. I thought you were the punished character? You just floundered that whole game. Get out of here, dollar store.
Calling the
Ryu.
grappler dollar store Ryu, for the record, as a grappler main, brutal shit. 100% accurate. Yeah. And yeah, they the tutorials are pretty limited. I will say the single player content is definitely on the lighter side. If you intend on getting into this game, you'll definitely want to like check out Discords and stuff where people play it. You can go into ranked and you can get matches. Just make sure you have it set full open, and like the rollback, the netcode is beautiful. I can play this game against friends in the UK and have no problems whatsoever. Like it just feels great. It's a wonderful time. The matches work, all that stuff. Yeah, so like I definitely recommend checking it out. It's just incredible how much work they've done in the game and made it better. So yeah, that's DNF Duel. Check it. Consider checking it out next time it's on sale, or if you already bought it and you gave up on it because you thought it was whack when it released. Check it out again. It's good now.
All right. Yeah, I was wondering what it was because I saw that, and it didn't look like Guilty Gear.
yeah. You know what? It's made by ArcSys, or like ArcSys helped with like the development and stuff of it. So the visuals are going to be kind of in that same zone. Yeah. It's a beautiful game. Absolutely gorgeous.
It looked like it was. I'm like, no, it's not. I thought it was like a nightmare. I was seeing AI yelling at me.
Just a fever dream. Is this Guilty Gear? I thought Guilty Gear was different.
It's gotta be.
All right, I will go next.
Doc, you're up. I'm gonna pull your footage up here. I think I've got it.
So, yeah, I mean,
let me make sure it's...
You got it.
There it is. All right. Here it is.
Fundamentally, what I did was basically just run through a single level on New Game Plus, and that's part of how this was like set up. Hey, my game is Wolong Fallen Dynasty. This is the newest game made by Team Ninja, Koei Tecmo property, everything. Team Ninja has been making some pretty solid ass games in the past like decade or so. Well, let's say past like 5 years or so. Starting off with with Neo, and then iterating on that basically from that point on. Because what Team Ninja has basically been doing is kind of looking at what From Software has been doing, and then kind of sort of just like copying their homework, but in a good way. You know, like they've been looking at what it is and then taking what they think works and what doesn't, and like putting it together into a new cohesive product. And especially in the case of Neo 2, which if you haven't played Neo 2, I super recommend it. It's fantastic.
Neo 2 is so good.
It's ridiculously good.
You can get Neo 2 on sale all the time. That game is amazing. You can play it with friends. The drop-in, drop-out co-op is perfect. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Just want everyone to know
no, you're
Neo
right.
2 fucking rules. You should play Neo
right.
2. Yeah, you should. This is why I want to play Wolong, is because Neo 2 was so good.
Yeah, so the thing is that those games have oh, okay. Yeah, turn up the quality. I did actually produce it at a better quality.
It was a 360p when I clicked it, because I clicked on it when it was first uploaded, and I guess it never...
Yeah, alright, sorry about that. So Wolong it's their latest game, and the thing is that it's kind of part of the only one of these that wasn't necessarily the case was the Final Fantasy Origin Strangers of Paradise. That's the only one that was not like made in direct response to a From Software game, taking inspiration from parts of it and then like, twisting it, producing what they want. Neo 1 was made by, in response to like the Souls games in the abstract, but specifically to 1. Neo 2 took some inspiration from Bloodborne, although it is more of its own thing, iterating a lot on what Neo 1 is. Strangers of Paradise is it's basically them translating that into Final Fantasy. And then Wolong here was directly inspired by Sekiro. Much more so than the other ones feel like they were to Dark Souls. What's worth. This game is very Sekiro in how it's set up, but gameplay-wise, it's very much its own thing as well. The idea is that this is a game that's supposed to weave in offense and defense, just like with how Sekiro does, but it does it with without taking away a whole bunch of attack options, and making it so that it's like the perilous attack equivalent is a unified concept. It's purely you do the deflect, which is done against almost any attack in the game. In fact, I think maybe literally all attacks in the game the deflect works on. And then just for some of them, you have to do it perfectly to get a really, really powerful like counter move on them. And this is how basically every single fight in the game works from the very start to the very finish.
Who's your,
it's a game that's like
ally here?
That's Jagun from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That guy, not glamorous.
Is it Romance of the Three Kingdoms based? I actually didn't know that.
It is.
Yeah, it's everything. I think it's everything up to.
It's right past
Lubu.
the. It's right past the all of the Yellow Turban Rebellion is how it works. It doesn't actually get into the romance proper. It's just the Yellow Turban Rebellion.
I think you mentioned
Because-
it's right when Cao Cao starts to take power is where the game ends.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's right. It's like right before the real heavy stuff starts because they wanted to have like wizards and shit be a large part of it. Because the start is basically when the supernatural parts of Romance of the Three Kingdoms are, and they kind of sort of end after that point, because it's like, oh yeah, they don't have wizards anymore. They're fucking dead. Yeah, if this did do super well, it could almost certainly have like a proper, full Three Kingdoms sequel, or if they do the standard 3 DLC structure that they've been doing, they may very well just make a Wei, Wu, and Shu set of DLCs.
And then, of course, the
entirely
hidden fourth
possible.
DLC will come out, right?
Yeah, the Jin DLC. Yeah, this.
A lot of
Go
these
for it.
games, like as you mentioned before, like Neo was very much a direct answer to Dark Souls and the popularity of like Dark Souls 1 and 2 springing up. And then like I personally, for example, just didn't care for Neo 1 very much. I didn't think
Me
very
neither.
highly of it. It felt like kind of a knockoff Souls. 2, hugely divergent, like hugely changes
Yes.
everything. Like it really goes into its own thing, kind of in the same way that like Saints Row started off as just like purely Grand Theft Auto bad edition and then like kind of grew into its own thing. How far would you say this is from Sekiro comparatively? Because like obviously like
So-
Neo was fairly close to Dark Souls. Neo 2 was
Is
just its own thing
significantly
entirely.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially in the New Game Plus levels, the farther you got, it just became a lot more fast, a lot more frantic,
Yeah.
way more active. Where would you say this falls?
I would say this falls between the two. It's not quite as divergent as 2, but it's also not quite as sticking to the same thing as 1. The funny thing is, weirdly enough, this plays more like a regular Souls game than Neo does because of how the weapons work. In Neo, you have there's only 11 weapons when you get down to it in Neo 2. That just flat out, there's only 11 because there's the large type, and then the individual weapons in the type don't really change all that much. It's just basically what your setup is because of the many things you can do with the high, mid, low stance. In this one, you don't have the stance system, just flat out. What you have instead is there's like 14 or 15 different weapon types, and they have a strong light attack combo, and they've got their strong attacks. They also all have a set of extra attacks called martial arts. So
Is there
the way-
is there a key pulse? Oh, sorry, go ahead first.
Yeah, I was actually about to explain this. There's no stamina in this game at all. Just like with how Sekiro, there's no stamina. This game has no stamina whatsoever. But there is a mechanic that is sort of stamina adjacent, and that's your spirit meter. So when you're doing regular attacks and you're landing those attacks on enemies, you raise your spirit. And then you can spend that spirit to do magic, spirit attacks, or martial arts. You have those 3 options, basically. And as you do all of those things, if your spirit is positive when you do them, then you inflict spirit damage to enemies. And if you make their spirit bar run out, just like in how Sekiro has the death blow meter after a posture break, you have a very powerful attack that you can do from having basically spirit broken them. It's kind of like a combination of how Sekiro works and how the key system works in Nioh, is the idea, you know? And so I put in one, I left in one me dying to Xian here, which is like a mini boss in this this area. It's not like a real proper boss. And then I had the successful runs on everything after that. Whenever you see an enemy like glow red and have all of their veins pop up, their meridians show, that's when you can do the perfect deflect into them to like get the big hit in on them. And this does an enormous amount of spirit damage, and then contributes to being able to then do the death blow later. I call it death blow. It's just a critical attack, I think, in this, because it doesn't immediately take out like their entire health bar. It's just that it's a large amount of damage. Yeah, the one weird thing to get used to, and it's something that I think like if you don't get used to it pretty quick, the gameplay can feel kind of weird, is that unlike in Sekiro where the deflect is on your block, so if you block poorly, you successfully you block still. You take a little bit of damage and lose some posture, but you don't lose anything. In this, it's attached to your dodge. You have a dodge. Okay. Yeah, it's like the deflect button, and then if you hit it twice, you dodge away instead. Do they still have soul runs, or did they do away with that? They have soul runs in a kind of interesting way, because what it is that you lose half of your carried spirit and a little bit of your morale, which is how levels are set up. I'll explain morale in a second. It's actually kind of complicated. You lose half of it, but then if you go and kill that enemy, then you get all of it back. So it's actually, because you don't lose all of it, it's actually one of the most forgiving soul runs that there is in one of these kinds of games when you get down to it. So it's another thing. It's like, okay, they kind of used Sekiro's system, but then altered it slightly. It's just how these games are usually made. There's a Wolong too. It's probably going to diverge a lot, but this first one is pretty similar.
Yeah, it looks like the speed of Nioh 2 too. So running back to where you were and just running past dudes.
It's very fast.
Yeah, probably trivial to do if you really need to save your stuff, because that's how it was in Nioh 2.
As someone who hasn't played any of these games, you're absolutely cruising. This is like Dark Souls on a motorcycle.
I am running through this level, and I'm skipping a lot of stuff because I didn't want to have it be These levels are pretty large. If there's one criticism I can levy at this is, I think this is absolutely where they started to need to include a map, because these levels are large and complicated.
Is that just radar up there and nothing else?
That's just a radar that has, in my case, it tracks enemies and flags.
Yeah, which as somebody who has played a lot of Strangers of Paradise, I've had moments in that game of just, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, these levels have Strangers of Paradise sizes, but also because you can jump and climb stuff.
Oh god.
They have an element of verticality to them, so they're even worse about it.
Yeah, I always have to wait till I hear someone else complain, because I have aphantasia, so if it's anything more than a hallway, I get lost. So
yeah, listen, if you're gonna play, the good news, this game has co-op, and it has a pretty good co-op as well, and if you have co-op going, then obviously exploring the levels is a lot easier.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on the co-op and how effective it is? Because I feel like a lot of people see a Souls type game and they have certain preconceived notions about how hard it is to set up a co-op system or something. I think that's a really good selling point. I think if you're gonna talk about Team Ninja,
it is trivially easy.
God, it's so easy. Yeah,
yeah.
You
just kind of
start a mission and then your friends can hop in through Steam Friends.
Yeah, it's just that easy. And it's super simple to set up. When you actually finish the mission, you can continue doing it. You both get progress made if you complete the mission at the same time, so you don't have to do it twice. Yeah, it's fantastic to do that. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, Smight, you remember that playthrough of Dark Souls 3 you, me, and Maddie did, where we had to do every area 3 times before we moved on?
When you think about it, I've actually beaten Dark Souls 3 12 times because I did one co-op campaign with you too.
Where we all beat it 3 times, yeah.
Yeah, you just do it once and you're good. You get credit for completing the mission, no matter who was there. You can actually join up into a mission like at the very end, just do the boss, and you get credit for completing the mission. That kind of stuff. Like, it does not care whatsoever. It tries to make co-op as smooth as an experience as possible. There's also one really cool thing about how this works compared to the Neo games, where, all right, so in Neo, when you start a mission, you're committed to doing that mission, right? So you do that one, you're good. That's it. Like, that's what you're doing. In this, you start a main mission, and then at any time you can go and start a side mission, then come back from that side mission and still have your progress in the main mission. And on top of that, you can go and start a side mission and then go ahead and start up co-oping with someone else, then go back to the side mission, then to the main mission, and keep all of that progress. It doesn't matter.
That's so nice. It's so nice to see someone take just the absolute opposite approach of you need to put on a funny ring and set the ring to be the right month.
Oh, hey.
Oh yeah, by the way, Wolong actually is the first one of these games that has invasions attached to it. Good news, you can literally just turn them off in the options. It doesn't care.
I love dynamic options for things like
Thank God.
That's been showing up in a couple of different games. Have a Nice Death. I was just playing that last night. That has that stuff.
Yeah.
And like Hades was the first time I've seen that, where you have like options down the road.
Oh, Hades has the huge variable difficulty stuff. Yeah, that stuff's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the evasions are there if you like doing them. They are actually pretty fun, as like, you know, when they're good, they're fun to do. It's just that the annoying thing is always that you never get the chance to opt out of them. In this, you get the chance to opt out of them. So it's like, oh, it just forgives all sins about it then, right? The other problem is that the netcode is pretty bad for them, but you know, like that's a kind of it to be expected, honestly, when with these kinds of games. Wolong's really fun. I enjoyed my time with it a lot. Its PC port's not great. Koei Tecmo kind of forgot all of the stuff that they had like going for Neo 2, which runs pretty well. But that was true of Strangers of Paradise as well. You know, it turns out there's like one fluke and it was that one, and then they're bad at them every other time.
What were you going to say?
This is kind of sort of also a recommend you to play Neo 2 suggestion for what it's worth. I just don't have the footage for that.
What was going on about morale? Because you said you want to talk about that real quick.
Right. Morale is earned from doing stuff in the level. Morale is kind of a multiplier on your stats. It makes you do more damage and take less from enemies, unless they're like at higher morale levels than you, in which case they have the same thing going on. You gain morale over doing a level and from finding flags in the level. It's the equivalent to the Kodama in Neo.
Oh, okay.
And you set those down, and for that level you are stronger for having done them, because you have a new minimum amount of morale that you can go to. You don't have to do these. You get the majority of morale from just, you know, going through the level and surviving and fighting things, but you can use them to like have a baseline minimum if you think you're going to die. Some of those flags are really hidden, by the way. They are hard to find.
Okay.
Much the same way that the little guys are hard to find.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this game at all until you and Maddie started talking about it. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing all these. This is why I wanted to do this show right here, because like, I have no like, I don't know what the word is. I have no like.
You're the
awareness of things like this coming out.
Yeah, you
used
know a
to be
lot
with
about
it.
Retro games.
I have no idea what games there are anymore.
You're an old man now, Smight.
I used to have a magazine with like everything in it, and I would read it, and I was
What's a magazine, old man?
Yeah.
God. Wait, you don't have magazines in your house? Magazines are great.
Newbie, you're up.
Hi, hello.
What you got for us?
Let me switch over to the other scene. So now I have audio. Hi, hello.
We've got the audio. I've got the audio.
Do you have audio?
I've got me in the audio though, unfortunately. Did you remove our call from it?
Oh shit, you're right.
Oh yeah, you don't have a voice meter set up, huh?
You can tell OBS if you have the modern one to just do one thing, and it won't capture Discord that way.
Oh, I've never.
Have you updated OBS in the past 3 years, Newbie?
Yes.
You do an audio capture let me see what it's called. It's called audio output capture, and then you pick the source, and then you mute everything else. You don't capture desktop at all.
It'll add a thing to your audio mixer, so it'll be like desktop audio mic / aux, and then it'll add a new thing. So you just mute the other ones.
Yep.
Oh, no, now I had the stuff not prepared ahead of time. I'm sorry.
Well, at least you're not gonna last or anything. It's all good. It's all good.
I
I'll
can
just
keep
talk
talking about Neo 2.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about how good Neo 2 is.
Yeah, I'd
Neo
love to
2's
talk about how
wild.
good Neo 2 is.
Hey,
That
nice
game is
sword.
fucking so good. Like, it's ridiculous.
Neo 2 is like the Souls-like game that probably has the highest skill ceiling of any of them I've played. Like in a way that's really fun. Like if you just start out, you'll like start playing as Dark Souls, and then like by the time you're at New Game +4 and like 90 hours deep, and
You're playing
just
Ninja
doing
Gaiden
wild
at that
shit.
point.
Yeah, you're doing like key canceling and stuff. Like there's a technique in Neo 2.
Oh, you're not just doing key canceling. You're doing double key canceling, remember?
Doing double pump canceling, bro.
Double pump canceling. Yeah.
So there's a thing in that game where you have like a high, low, and a mid stance, and so you can swap between them. You have different moves that'll like start in mid stance and automatically swap you to high in the middle of it. Very cool stuff. It gives you a lot of different ways to like route out your combos and stuff. You can kind of have stuff flow into one another. But one of the things you get early on is if you cancel out of an attack into another stance, you'll have a passive thing that gives you a little bit of your stamina meter back. And by the post game, if you're good at the game, what you'll start doing is doing like a single swing in high stance and then immediately canceling into mid, into low, back into high. So you just do a triple stance cancel to get back to your original stance, and you get 2 chunks of your stamina back. So your guy just like does a swing and then just like and just has like full stamina again. It's
I need to emphasize that this isn't necessary to do, but it is an option available to you.
Oh yeah, you don't have to
stuff.
do this ever. Like you can beat the entire game without doing this. But if you
can
do
beat
it,
the entire game
you can
without,
go ape
like-
shit with nunchucks. Like
If you can beat the entire game with just doing regular cancels, key pulsing. Like that's all you have to do. Like even in New Game plus when you're doing Way of the I think it's Way of the Neo or Dream of the Neo
Way
is
of
the
the
last
Neo
one.
is
Yeah.
+4.
But by the way, we're mentioning this. There's reasons to do the New Game Plus in Neo. It's the best New Game Plus that a Souls-like game has ever had. Easy.
Yeah.
Like because you start up a New Game Plus and wow, the levels are actually have different enemy spawns and stuff. Well, by the time you get to the second one, there's new enemy spawns and stuff in this, and like they do new things, and there's like new things to grab and new things to do. There's
have
entire
new status
equipment
effects.
slots that only shows up on the 3rd layer of New Game Plus. And there's like a bunch of character building stuff. You've got so many like interesting build options by that point and things like that. It's all very, very cool and well done.
You start up New Game +3 or +4, and you're like, well, certainly I've seen everything. And then they just add another set of like equipment mechanics on top of it, and also unlock a pit of 100 trials. It's bonkers. Like I'm not a big New Game Plus guy. This is not just New Game Plus. This is functionally
It's new
run through the game
content,
4
flat
times.
out.
Yeah, it's new content, and also like since you get to skip the cutscenes and stuff, and it is just a pick missions from a list and go through them. You a lot of times can just do like the minimum amount and blitz through. Like I think when I did New Game +3, I was done in just like 5 or 6 hours or something because I just speed ran it more or less. Yeah,
You
it's
only have
really
to do
cool.
like 15 total missions in each one of them to actually go on to the next one is how it works out. It's like you have to do like 15 of them, then beat the final mission because you have to beat the final boss every time, which by the way, every single New Game Plus cycle, that final boss changes where he does new things. It's rad as hell.
Yeah.
And he gets harder and is more interesting. And like they just leaned in on that. It's part of like a really cool thing where they released each level of the New Game Plus with every DLC that they put in, which means that they just did more stuff with it each time. Like they actually put in development time for each of the New Game Pluses. It's great.
All right, hey Smight, real quick, I want to test something.
What's up?
Are you hearing Discord's audio?
Let's see.
Discord's audio.
Yes.
You still are? Fuck.
Hearing you.
You still are? Oh.
Only you.
You're just regular
Mute
audio
the mic
stuff.
audio, yeah.
Don't not mute your Discord side. I mean, mute on
I'm stupid. I'm
OBS.
sorry.
Oh,
there we go. I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you
All right,
go.
we got it,
Figure
we
it
got it.
out.
We got it. We're
Hey.
good.
Sounds good. I think it's ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
By the way, in case you haven't been you got like hearing all this good stuff about Neo 2, but you've literally never seen any footage of it. That's because people don't watch it for some reason, despite it being fantastic. Please break the Team Ninja curse, where these games just don't get viewership.
It's wild, yeah.
I want you to know that I got this working, but I did it in a very dumb way in that I changed everything except for Discord for me to go through my speaker audio, not my headset audio. So whatever, we got it working.
That's fine. That's good.
It's fine. Anyway, hi, hello. I'm here with Fire Emblem Engage, which, as stated before, 17th in the Fire Emblem series. They do a lot of neat stuff in this to really shake up the formula, and there's a lot to go over in what's different in this mechanically. So I'm going to try and cover everything as best as I can in as best of an order as I can, which the first one to jump into immediately are, hey, the main mechanic of the game, the emblem rings, which is each of your character has a ring slot, which, you know, through other there's a gotcha connected to this, but
and it's rings because it's like engage, right?
It's engage. Yes, you engage.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Wins
but
Fire Emblem Divorce.
there is a ring connected to one of the main characters from a previous game in the series, which if you don't recognize any of these other than Marth, that makes sense because these are all from like the SNES and NES ones. You don't actually get them in the order of release. They just gave you very early ones early on in the game. We're, for what it's worth, we're very early in the game if you can't tell, due to being like level 5 and what have you. I didn't want to throw down too much late game stuff in this.
I've never actually played one of these before, so I don't know too much about Fire Emblem at all.
Nice. Linking up with a ring.
Tactics RPGs.
Yeah.
I know that they have permadeath, and I know Marth. That's about all I got.
They actually, you've been able to turn off permadeath for quite a while now.
Oh, sweet.
With Fire Emblem.
For a while. And
hey, you know Final Fantasy Tactics? What if instead of it being generic guys you swap between classes, you just had set guys?
Nice.
Okay, that's fine.
They do get to swap between classes
you might like
now,
them, Smight.
I figure I would.
You still can switch classes in the new ones, yeah, for what it's worth. But they're designated like people. Like you get individual people that are set, yeah.
Yeah. So each ring has a bunch of passives that come with it. For instance, having Marth equipped here gives you like this, which is, you know, you have more void in combat. It increases the higher you are. He's kind of like the dodgy ring. He gets a lot of avoid passives. He gets a lot of things about being fast. He gets bonuses if you break enemies, which I'll get into that later. And just is also sword buffing, so he does that. Whereas Celica here is a wizard.
Yeah. Also, he gives you like a 5-meter grab range.
Exactly. Yes, 1000%. There's actually a ring down the line that lets you just take an extra step forward if you're trying to attack an enemy, which is very funny. Celica's a wizard ring, all that kind of theming of like, you know, book proficiency, book precision.
So when you equip a ring, it gives you a lot of options, and they're themed after the characters that they're from, right?
Yes.
So what?
Exactly, and Sigurd is lance and mounted. He is the like the horse unit.
You don't have to go through all of them. Is the idea I'm getting across?
I'm not, but I just want to get a basis of like, hey, these are what they all do. Anyway, I'll actually get into the map. So, skip the story. Whatever. We're not here for story today. The main thing that this game added is every one of these games has the weapon triangle, which exists, but by the end of the game, the weapon triangle was whatever. In most games, it gives you like +1 damage or +10 hit or evade or whatever. It's whatever. I'm going to move ahead to get to like another turn here so I can show this off a little bit better. But in this one, the weapon triangle means a lot more, and it actually introduces that breaking mechanic that they
for the unaware of if you've never played Fire Emblem before. The weapon triangle is that swords beat axes, axes beat lances, lances beat swords. It's rock paper scissors with weapons.
Yes.
I'm happy to help.
wherever the house is going to get robbed, it's fine.
These
And
isn't
each
like a
character
save we're
has,
keeping.
like,
these characters
a
are so
weapon
happy
type
to
that they are
to be
fond of
here.
or use.
Oh yeah.
They're all wiggly. Every single one of these characters wiggles every time you go over them.
Also, the one problem that this series kind of got as it went on was it was getting a bit long in the tooth and like all the animations and everything. This one's actually fairly snappy, and I appreciate that a lot. Like the fight starts up, they get out. Mind you, this is just an option that you can turn off, and most people do eventually. But
Yeah,
I really appreciate how nice and snappy these animations are.
You usually do turn off the fight animations. I would say probably like a good little bit into the game, like probably 20% of the game through the game a lot of the time. I've turned them off every now and again to see new things that as they come up, but turn them back on every now and again. I mean, but usually it's like you just you don't do too much of them.
There is one other aspect of the weapon triangle, which is this over here. They added this recently in the series and just kind of expanded upon it as it goes on. But there's now punching. You punch. Punching beats a lot of the other weapons that don't fall into the normal weapon triangle. So like bows, book, knife. Anyway, the thing I was talking about. So, got on the axe guys over here. Main character uses a sword. Swords beat axes. I run up. I'm not going to kill this guy, but you may notice that it says break right there. So I run up, I hit him, bam, there goes his weapon. He doesn't have his weapon anymore. So for that combat and any following combats, this guy can't counterattack now. So you can actually use this strategically to, like, if you have a character that wouldn't be able to kill that guy, but deals a lot of damage, you can have a weaker guy come in, just knock his weapon away, and then you can have the other guy follow up and just take no damage overall.
Does he get his weapon back if you don't kill him?
Yes. It's only one combat that he doesn't have his weapon for. After that one combat, he gets his weapon back and can counterattack again.
Now,
Usually,
is the weapon being missing, does it actually like take the stats of the weapon into account, or are there stats on equipment outside of the rings, or is it like just rings on characters for the most part?
no. So weapons actually matter a lot in this one compared to other games in the series, as you know, your physical attack and everything matter a lot more, mattering on the weapon you're holding, but weight actually matters a lot in this game. There's the build stat now, which hasn't existed since, looks at my notes, 5 in the series.
No, I mean the con stat was in all of the GBA games.
But it wasn't a stat that could go up on level.
Well,
That's
yes,
the big thing.
but it was still an extant stat.
Yes. Weight, your attack speed, which determines if you can double an enemy or not, is your speed stat minus the weight of your weapon plus your build, more or less, or the weight minus build minus speed. You get what I'm saying here. you take your build away from the penalty of the weight, and that becomes your attack speed. You want your attack speed stat to be as high as possible because that lets you get more attacks off, so on and so forth. The other thing that Engage does is it gives the character, like the individual units, more mechanical personality. So I mentioned that breaking is a big thing. Breaking can happen to you as well. If an axe dude hits a lance person, it'll break them, and then they'll be at a disadvantage. However, your armored units here, because they are of the armored class, cannot be broken. You can put these guys on the front line, they'll be fine.
Yeah, this dude was blocking a
For the
ton.
Fire Emblem knowers, this means that armor units are finally good in this game.
The other thing is this game isn't afraid to give characters major stat weaknesses and just let that ride. Here's Louis. Louis has strength, dex, and defense, and that's pretty much it for the entire game. That said, Louis was on my endgame team and was a powerhouse, because I could pretty much put him on the front line, and as long as he wasn't fighting a wizard, he was pretty much unkillable.
Whatever you require.
If he was fighting a wizard, he might just get blown up in one turn. That right there is another class mechanic of the backup unit, which is another very dope mechanic. Backup units, if they are in range, if they can attack an enemy and somebody else attacks them, they will launch an attack at it. It's always an 80% chance to hit, and that attack always does 10% of the enemy's health. This is really useful when you start fighting like really tanky enemies. You can actually just gang up on them with a bunch of backup units and just whittle them down over time. And then to actually show, you know, the main mechanic of this game, you know, the engage here. So engaging puts you in a powerful super mode.
It's because it's a ring.
Because it's a ring.
That's why.
Which, aside from just giving you a powerful super mode and these dumb options, every class gets their own dumb options, gives you weapons that are unique to that character, that have some wild benefit to them. They also give you a powerful super attack that is kind of fucked up.
Oh, that's
like,
big.
Hey, I'm just gonna warp 10 spaces away. Like, I could just warp over here and just blow this guy up.
Very powerful option in a game like this, which historically does not have options like this. Like, not even close.
Now, you can only do that once per engage. That's why they are that effed up. But they're pretty stupid. The archer-based one later in the game is notable for allowing you to shoot a target like 20 spaces away.
Basically anywhere on the map, almost.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, it's just a friend of mine put it very interestingly of, for a while, Fire Emblem has been a game that was very enemy turn focused. You kind of hunkered down, you weren't too aggressive, and then just let the enemy kind of run forward and break themselves on you. And while there is strategy in that, I always found that to be a little boring. This game is very your turn focused, in that you have a lot of options for things you can do on your turn, and you can kind of just rush the enemies down. Like, you let them get in close and then you pick them apart one by one. It's also a breath of fresh air in the series that they let enemies just be a problem, in that, again, in a lot of the earlier games, you could kind of just have a unit that was like your unit, like an allied unit that was just overly powerful and would just solo the maps, and that's not really possible in this one. Again, they let units have weaknesses. Again, here you have Chloe, who is speed and dexterity, and that's really it. She doesn't have a lot of strength, she doesn't have a lot of defense, she'll get knocked over by a stiff breeze, but she can double up almost any enemy. And that's where another really neat feature that this game has is that they go all in on the weapon crafting.
Yeah, I guess before you move on too much, I was gonna say, like, as somebody who only really played Fire Emblem Awakening and like has only kind of seen the other ones, that was one thing I kind of hated about Awakening, was that every character felt like they were good at everything. Like, they were so afraid that your comfort character wouldn't be good that they were like, all of them have to be the best at everything. And it sucked. It felt like no characters had identity on the battlefield. It was just moving 100 of the exact same unit in different pieces of armor around the field. So like, having actual weak points and defined holes in the characters is so refreshing to hear, because that was such a frustrating part of Awakening for me.
A great example of that right here is Alfred right here. He starts with 5 speed, which is really bad for a melee character. You kind of want to be nailing double up attacks, or at least have enough speed so that you don't get doubled yourself and get blown up. But my Alfred on my original run turned out garbage. He gained like no speed the entire time, so I had to drop him eventually. But this Alfred has already gained 3 points of speed in this run. If I kept playing this run, this Alfred probably would have kept him around. And that's
68, not so great.
But yeah, the weapon crafting in this. So there's very standard levels of it, of you just +1 weapon. If they go up to 5, they gain attack, they lose weight, which you want, so you can swing them faster. They gain hit, all that kind of stuff. But the little symbol on there is that I've put an engraving on it, and I don't have a ton of them at this point because all the engravings are attached to rings. So as you gain more rings, you gain more options for weapon crafting and what have you. And some of those are wild. Some of them are like, yeah, you lose like 2 strength on that weapon, but it gains like 30 crit rate. So again, Chloe is a unit that gains like no strength, really. She has a very low strength growth. By the end of the game, I had her with a critical weapon that had like a 70% crit rate on it. So it didn't really matter that she had no strength because she was critting almost every swing.
Crits do triple damage in Fire Emblem.
Yes. And was able to just take things out that way.
So that's all well and good. Newbie, would you like to address the elephant in the room about how the story of this game is dog shit? If you care about video game story, you might want to just go ahead and skip the cutscenes in this one.
Look, I'll say this. Your first time playing through the game, watch the cutscenes. They're so fucking bad. This game, like, there's people out there that found some joy in the story of this game. Good on you. Like,
I have never heard a group of people, because it's not just Newbie for the record. CoBuddy, when they talk about this game, they also I have never heard someone put more asterisks in discussion or praise of a game than CoBuddy talking about Engage. Same thing with you, of just like, God, it's mechanically brilliant, it's super fun to play, the maps are way better designed, the reinforcement stuff is like way more in check, characters have balance and holes, and it's like, oh, okay, what about the story? It's the worst. They did so bad. I don't know why they did so bad. Like, it's
really amazing after, like, okay, the story of Throuses wasn't fantastic. Three Houses being the game.
Three Houses is, we watched Legend of the Galactic Heroes and we tried to do that and we did like modestly okay.
Yeah.
That's the best you can say about it.
But like, it was good. It was okay. It was passable. People will point at this game and be like, oh, it's like a Saturday morning cartoon. And my answer to that is an insult to Saturday morning cartoons. I can't get into it more without like straight up spoiling the story, but awesome. I had my hand in my hands so many times over the course of this game.
I may not know if I remember, but I know Saturday morning cartoon. Let me tell you about King Arthur and the Knights of Justice football team who got sucked back into time and became King Arthur and the Knights of Justice.
You still got that guy? You still got that sound clip of that guy?
Maybe.
They bring
so.
Look, this game has the same writer as Fates. I cannot invoke the baby dimension. That is all I will say.
Well, thanks, Newbie. I'm interested in this series. Which one would you recommend starting with?
Fire Emblem 8 Sacred Stones is a really good one for somebody playing it the first time.
That one actually is a Saturday morning cartoon video game.
Yes.
Nice.
And that game on a whole is a little easier, so it's good to, lean somebody in. Aside from that, I actually really like Fire Emblem 9 Path of Radiance, or, for as little overly strong as units get in Awakening. Awakening is a really solid one as well.
Well, I'm gonna cut you off. We are out of time.
Allow
That's fair.
the rest it deserves.
Allow us the rest we deserve. That's right. Thank you. what did you think? Aside from the layout, which isn't perfect, I like it to be perfect, so I'll be working on that for next time, and I've got a month to do it. If people are interested in seeing another one of these, we'll pull 4 people together next week or next month, and think about doing it on a regular. But thanks for coming, everybody. Doc, TieTuesday and Newbie,
yeah, no
thanks
problem.
for joining me and bringing the grade A stuff.
Grade A, dang.
Yeah, grade A. Those look like good games, and they're not things I would ever have seen if I didn't tune into your broadcast and see it. I would never see it in my normal life. I wouldn't run into it.
Oh, and I don't even stream DNF for what it's worth usually because it just doesn't do super well, you know. Viewer, that's one reason I wanted to bring it here. I was like, hey, please look at it. It's sweet, I promise.
Yeah, I did stream through all of Wolong, but again, Team Ninja Curse. Those games don't get viewership, like just flat out. So I wanted to have at least some form of way to talk about it, you know.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was cool.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy.